Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir El from easymedicaldevice.com, and today we'll talk about cybersecurity and for not only Europe but also for FDA. So we'll try really to go through those topics. I know that with all the multiplication of softwares that are now available that are connecting to the network, and also a lot of requirements by legislatures about this kind of situation of risk. Mainly, the cybersecurity is a risk for software. So we have now really some people that need to understand what is cybersecurity. So it's why let's have a good discussion about this topic. And for that, I have with me Cyrille Michaud from MD101. So Cyrille, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Thank you, Monier. Hello, everybody.
So, Cyril, thanks again. We talked mainly, I remember you were invited for the AI Act, and we talked a lot about AI Act. So now let's talk about cybersecurity. But before that, can you make just an introduction of yourself and maybe of MD101 so that we know exactly where you are coming from?
Yes, so just a few words about MD101. We are a one-stop shop about quality assurance and regulatory affairs, but also business development and reimbursement. Okay, we continue our services after the device is CE marked or FDA cleared. Okay, so we offer services before and after. So this is for MD101, and we cover the full panel of medical devices. So my name is Cyrille Michaud. I'm working at MD101. So I've been working at MD101 since the beginning, in fact. And my main topic is that I address is software in general. So be it software, standalone software, or software in electromedical devices.
Exactly. And I remember again, yeah, I remember now you were also on the podcast really at the early stage of the
Yes, it was a
podcast.
few years time. I think it was before COVID we did that.
Exactly. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, it was really at the beginning. So I think when I started this thing, so really thanks for that also. Okay, so yeah, today we talk about cybersecurity. I think, as I said, it's an important topic because even me, our company, so we get a lot of people that comes to us with the software, and then there is always this question about cybersecurity, what we should do, how to do that, etc., etc. So let's try to clear everything today so that people are really having an understanding because I'm sure that the audience has also a lot of those questions. But before, Mehdi, when we say cybersecurity, uh, it's not just a small thing, it's a big thing. So can we make a summary of what is cybersecurity?
This is so a broad topic, it covers every industry. In fact, as soon as you have some electronics in your industry, you have cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is covered by lots of regulations, in fact. Okay, so perhaps you have heard about the Cyber Resilience Act. Perhaps you have heard about the GDPR, the NIS2 directive. Yes, all these regulations and also the regulations that you can have in the US, like what we call Homeland Security, for example, all of this is about cybersecurity. Of course, we cannot cover all these topics today in our podcast, so we are going to limit, of course, our discussion about cybersecurity in medical devices. Okay, and then in medical devices, we can separate the topics in two main topics. Okay, the cybersecurity on the products,
Yeah.
okay, and the cybersecurity on the organization, the manufacturer, the distributor. Okay, for the cybersecurity on the manufacturer, the distributor, this is covered by regulation like the NIS2 directive, for example. For cybersecurity in the product, we come back to our good old regulations, so MDR, IVDR, FDA regulation. Okay, so what we are going to cover today is the cybersecurity of the product.
Yeah.
Okay, not the cybersecurity of the organization, because that would require another podcast to talk about this, in fact.
Exactly, and I think the most important for the moment is, yeah, the product, because we have to satisfy MDR mainly and or FDA regulation, because mainly will be also covering trying to cover both, and yeah, this is mainly the I think the most important topic here. Okay, so in terms of regulations now, so I think we'll structure. There are two topics here that we have to discuss. Is the first regulations and standards. So
Mm.
it's people may mix them also together, but yeah, let's separate them. Regulation is more about the countries that are defining their laws of how to place the device on the market, and standards is more the rules or the standard that you are using for testing or aligning or harmonizing, if I can say, your software or your things with some testing or some features. So if we go to regulation first, so we have EU, we have FDA. So how many we should look at that? So if we are looking, for example, first for the EU, so where should I start to look at in terms of regulation? Is MDR like my go-to thing, or there is something else that I should go for?
You know, the MDR, like any regulation, is very broad at the subject, very high level. Okay, so you are going to find requirements about cybersecurity in the MDR, in the Annex 1, okay, the annex about the general safety and performance requirements. There, you are going to find requirements about the software is developed in a secure manner.
Yeah.
Okay, according to the state of the art, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so in fact, when I say in a secure manner, three little words, okay, that make cybersecurity come into the medical devices. Okay, so this is for the MDR. This is the main way to enter into cybersecurity. This is through the GSPR, the General Safety and Performance Requirements.
But
Okay.
I suppose that reading this sentence will put a lot of question marks to people. Okay,
Yes,
thank you,
exactly.
thank you. It's nice to hear that, but how I
How
do
do we do
that?
then? Okay. Then you have, of course, the MDCG, so the Medical Device Coordinating Group, writes guidance, okay, write guides, what we call the MDCG guides. And they wrote a guide in 2019, so it's called the 2019-16 guide from the MDCG. And that guide gives some general principles to to take into account during the life cycle of a medical device. So during development, pre-market, and after the device is placed on the market, in post-market. So you find in that MDCG guide, I would say, not so high level, not as high compared to the MDR, a bit lower level, but not enough technical to, practically speaking, give some rules and practices to the software development team to develop and manage their software in a secure manner.
Unearth the pulse of the medtech world with MedTech Conf, a dynamic platform featuring global events on medical devices, biologicals, IVD, and pharmaceuticals. Stay informed, stay ahead, connect, share, and elevate your knowledge. Become an official sponsor. Make your event shine on the map. MedTech Conf, your key to the medtech universe. Remember, the future is now, and it's at your fingertips with MedTech Conf.
I suppose the MCG was more targeted for regulators or maybe quality regulatory affairs people to understand, I think, no?
Yes. Yes, yes. So the MDCG guide, the MDCG 2019-16, is more for people like QA, RA. So they know that they will have to do something with the software development team, with the technical guys, in fact. Okay.
Exactly.
And this is why at the next level, you quote it, you have the harmonized standards, okay? And even though as of today, the list of harmonized standards hasn't been published yet for the MDR,
Yeah.
we know that we will have one standard, okay, about cybersecurity. So it is called the 8101-5-1 standard, IEC 8101-5-1 standard. That standard will be about cybersecurity and will be applicable by 2028 when the list of harmonized standards is published by the European Commission. Okay. Practically, this speaking, this standard is just a kind of overlap over the IEC 6204. I imagine
Software
that
lifecycle management. Yeah.
lots of people in the audience know the IEC 6204 for software.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an additional layer to secure the software developed with the IEC 6204. IEC 6204 is You develop your software for medical device. You add the IEC 8101-5-1. You develop a software in a secure manner for your medical device. Okay.
Okay.
And both standards work all together, in fact.
Exactly, yeah. So if you have then this combo of MDCG plus the standards, I mean, this standard that we talk about, are we complete or is it enough?
I would say that we are done, okay, for Europe as of today. This is the situation we are in, and we know that this is what we will have been required by the notified body by 2028. Then you have
Just one
yes,
thing
please.
also, I heard about, so Europe is Europe with a lot of countries, but I heard that Germany was a bit advanced in this point. So what's your take on that?
My take is yes. So the German notified bodies published two guides, in fact, what they called checklists that have been published by the Association of German Notified Bodies. So
Okay.
you know that you have an association of notified bodies at the European level
Team
called
NB,
the
yeah.
MD, yes, and the German notified bodies have their own association.
Okay.
Okay, and this association published two checklists, okay, for cybersecurity, one checklist for the medical device, and one checklist for the QMS, so that the QMS also contains, for example, in design controls, the provisions to design, develop, and maintain a software in a secure manner.
Okay.
Okay. So we know that this checklist, probably that this checklist published by the German notified body is going to be promoted at the Team NB level. Okay, so that, and it will be complementary, in fact, to the MDCG guide we talked about a few minutes ago.
Okay. So then MDR, MDCG, few standards, and maybe checklist from German authority. We'll talk about that later. So yeah, notified bodies will then, I hope, be satisfied by this, if I can say. But here we talk about the high level, if I can say,
Yes.
plus with the standards, with maybe a bit more in depth. Uh, just for the audience, can they do all that? Or can they? Do you think that it's easy to look at all those documents and try to link all those things together and work with them, or it's really something that you need a lot of experience for that?
It's true that especially the technical approach, okay, the technical point of view in cybersecurity requires an experience, a technical experience to understand exactly what has to be done from a technical point of view, a very rough technical point of view. Uh, then, if you have um, teams like QA and RA persons who need to understand cybersecurity, of course, they will require probably to read documents like the MDCG guide, to read documents like the Team NB checklist, to understand at a higher level what they need to do. Also, what is important in all this topic and all the information that you have, I think that QA and RA person would need to understand, especially what a cybersecurity risk management process is. Okay, because the cybersecurity risk management process will be a new process that will be included into the risk management process as a whole. Okay, a bit like usability. Usability feeds the risk management process.
Yeah.
And likewise, cybersecurity is going to feed the risk management process. And I think this is very important for QA and RA people to understand how cybersecurity is going to feed the risk management file, because usually the risk management file is managed by that kind of person within the manufacturer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And okay, go ahead.
So then you have, in fact, you have layers of documents. So the top level is the MDR or IVDR, okay? Then you have the MDCG guide. Then you have a bit more technical, the German checklist. and at the bottom, highly technical, the standards IEC 62304 plus IEC 8101-5-1. And this is that whole list of documents which make, in fact, the state of the art about cybersecurity in Europe.
Okay. So yeah, this is Europe. So let's go now to the US. So is there any difference here, or it's a completely different system, or it's exactly the same?
So the system is different, of course, but you retrieve the same organization, the same layers, in fact. So you retrieve the layer, the regulatory layer with a bill that has been voted by the American Congress about cybersecurity. So within something a broad subject, okay, you have one topic about cybersecurity in a law called the Food, Drug, Cosmetics Act. Okay, and so within this act, you have a tiny topic about cybersecurity. So anyway, the cybersecurity has been introduced into the US regulation. So it is a bit like the MDR. So you have something very synthetic requiring the manufacturers to do something about cybersecurity. Okay. So then, so the Congress passed this law a few years ago. I don't remember the date, so no matter.
Yeah.
The idea is that afterwards, the FDA was mandated to publish guidance about cybersecurity. Okay, so you had a few versions of this guidance published, and the latest version has been published in 2023. Okay, so
Okay.
this is the guidance for pre-market submission for software about cybersecurity. And this is a guidance of a very high technical level, okay? Very precise. So as usual, what the FDA does, okay, they do something very technical. So this is the case with this guidance, when you have very precise, very technical requirements about what you show. Okay, so the word he used in the guidance is should, but of course
Okay.
you follow it by the book. So what you should put in your pre-market submissions to the FDA. And this is very precise, okay? And I would say that up to now, this is the FDA, which is the most advanced regulatory authority about reviewing cybersecurity files into a pre-market submission by a manufacturer. Okay, so we have that, the regulation, the Food, Drug, and Cosmetics Act. We have the guidance, okay? And at the bottom, a bit like for Europe, we retrieve in the list of recognized standard published by the FDA, we retrieve the IEC 8101-5-1. Okay, so that standard, you find it in Europe, you find it in the US. So that standard, in fact, sets a common ground that you can use to document the cybersecurity of your device. So it's mirroring, in fact, the IEC 62304. We know that when we apply the IEC 62304, we know that we will be in good shape to go to Europe, to go to the US, to go to Canada, to go everywhere else. Okay. So that will be, in fact, the status of the IEC 8101-5-1. That will be that you will apply that standard together with the IEC 62304. And thanks to the application of both standards, you will be in good shape to go to the US, to go to Europe, to go to Canada. Canada, by the way, published a guidance about cybersecurity. To go to Japan, okay, so Japan requires now cybersecurity in their submission. To go to Australia, likewise, Australia published a guidance about cybersecurity. So okay, so you applying these two standards, okay, that will set a common ground, okay, to go everywhere where you want to place on the market your device, in fact.
So if when I hear you, I say, okay, if I'm coming from Europe, apparently I have maybe a bit more to do. But if I'm coming from the US, they are so advanced that maybe it's easier to go to Europe. Is it that way or not?
Yes, for sure, for sure. Well, so when you submit a file to the FDA today, so I experienced that with a client. So they wanted to submit a 510(k) where their predicate was themselves. Okay,
Okay.
so they had a V1 of their product, and so they submit a 510(k), a V2 of their product, and the predicate was themselves. Okay, so for the version one, which was submitted to the FDA a few years time, they didn't have any question about cybersecurity.
Yeah.
So for the version two, okay, so they just updated the documentation of the version one. They submit that to the FDA. The FDA came back with 30 questions, so 30 deficiencies. 15 were on the change, okay, and 15 were on cybersecurity.
Okay.
Okay. So all the questions they didn't ask about cybersecurity a few years time, they asked them in this new version of the product. So we see here that for the same product, okay, the FDA raises the bar, okay, very sharply. There is a sheer increase of the FDA's expectation about cybersecurity. And if you don't apply their guidance, uh, if you don't do that, okay, you don't apply their guidance, you can be sure 100% that you will receive at least 10 deficiencies about cybersecurity in your as responses to your submission.
So then, not I mean, let's keep that for the end for the notified bodies. But yeah,
Mm.
it looks like FDA are really taking this subject seriously, if I can say, and with a lot of guidance, a lot of scrutiny by the authorities in comparison to what we saw with MDR, etc. But what is good is also that they have the same standard apparently, or they are looking at the same standard. So which makes that you can recycle already what you have done, no need to redo another exercise of this. But in terms of standards again, so we talked about this one, the 81001-5-1, which is linked to the 62304. There is also the risk, cybersecurity risk also. So I saw the 81001-5-2. So is it also something that they are looking at or?
So here we are very advanced today when we are talking together because that standard, the 8101-5-2, hasn't been published yet.
Okay.
But that will be the standard about cyber risk management, in fact. Okay, so today we have the ISO 14971 for safety risk management. We have the IEC 62366-1 about usability risks on usability management. We will have that future standard, IEC 8101-5-2, about cybersecurity risk management. It should be published by the end of 2025. So, okay, so by the end of this year, okay, and that will cover the cyber risk management process. Okay, so it means that together with your safety risk management process, you will need a cyber risk management process and, of course, traceabilities between the two processes. When you discover a risk on cybersecurity and that risk has an impact on safety, you will have to document that risk in the cybersecurity risk management process and then input the information of that risk into the safety risk management process, in fact.
So this standard will be just a standard. Then we have to wait for the harmonization, I suppose, or the recognition from the FDA.
Yes, so for the recognition for the FDA, it's a bit tricky because that standard has already been published in the US
Okay.
and by the American Association of Medical Instrumentation, the AAMI. Okay, so it's called the AAMI SW for software, the AAMI SW 96 or 76, sorry, 76. Okay, no, am I right? 76 or 96? I don't remember. But anyway, this
For the
standard has
audience
already
to search.
we will place it in the description.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that standard has been published already in the US. Okay, it is present in the list of recognized standard in the US. So we know that is going to be made international, okay, when it is published with its future name at the international level, so the IEC 8101-5-2.
Hey, just a second. Do you need a EU, Swiss or UK representative? Then choose Easy Medical Device. We can represent you and also become your importer. Contact us at eo@easymedicaldevice.com. Okay, great.
Lots of numbers today, lots of standards.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm sorry because usually on the podcast we try really to be concise with not too much of those numbers, but I think it's important because people will be looking at those. They have to apply that. So we'll put the links and the things on the show notes so that you just click on them and get them. But yeah, we are not going too deep inside. We just tell you the references and then you can use them directly. I have also a lot of people, as soon as we talk about cybersecurity, they say to me, oh, is the company ISO 27001, which is another standard again. So what do you say to, is it needed for a company that has a product that is based on the market to be ISO 27001?
Not necessarily. As I said, we said at the beginning of the presentation, the discussion, we are focusing today on product cybersecurity, okay? So manufacturer, the organization's cybersecurity is covered by the ISO 27001, okay? So when you want to secure the processes of your organization, okay, then the ISO 27001 is applicable. Okay, so this is at the organizational level, not at the product level. You can still have some overlap between the two, especially when a medical device manufacturer offers cloud services. Okay,
offers
so
what, sorry?
Cloud services.
Cloud services, yeah.
Yes, so the manufacturer develops a software and then puts it in production on a cloud server. Okay, so then you leave the design and you go into production, into servicing. Okay, you deliver a service like a medical imaging software to which the radiologist can connect, for example, okay, on a cloud server. So in this case, the ISO 27001 is interesting, especially when you buy some cloud servers, okay, cloud instances to a cloud server provider. You shall verify that cloud server provider, they have the ISO 27001 certification, for example.
But not you. Them is
not you. Not you. So I have seen one case, okay, where the medical device manufacturer they deployed, they installed their own cloud servers without requiring the services of GAFAM operators like that. Okay, they built their own cloud server within the company and then published the service to the internet. So in this case, and this is a very rare case, but I've already seen it, they applied to the ISO 27001 certification because they have their own cloud. Okay. Okay, but we are not in design, we are in production, we are in when the device is placed on the market.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
but in that case, yeah, if the medical device is owned on that way, so it's better than for the company to be 27001. But if the cloud is made by a service provider, then it's this you have to get this service provider as ISO 27001, but you don't need specific to have that.
No, in fact, the ISO 27001 certificate will be a purchase criteria, in fact, for when you are going to require to buy services from the cloud servers providers, you are going to verify that they have the certificate in your purchase criteria,
okay.
in fact.
Okay, great. Now, can you tell me on a step-by-step process mainly, how you would see the process that a manufacturer should follow to then maybe the big steps, and we are not doing all the detail, but big steps of what a manufacturer should follow to address cybersecurity when they arrive, say, oh, where should I start? What should I do? Where should I go, etc. What would you advise to them, maybe with your experience here?
Yes, so I'm going to explain it from explain it with a V cycle, okay, a waterfall cycle, okay, but manufacturer can also do it in an agile way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use the waterfall cycle because, of course, this is simpler
It's
to
easier.
explain.
Exactly.
Okay, so you have first software requirements. This is what required the IEC 624. You are going to add secure software requirements. How you secure your software.
Okay.
Then you have software architecture, software design. Then you are going to add additional documentation about what we call secure software architecture, what we call defense in depth design, okay, things like that. So you are going to document that. Then you will have software coding. So in software coding, you are going to add additional coding rules, coding criteria to code your software into a secure manner. And then the last step is the software testing. So software testing, we are going to add either in the current software test plan, but usually in a separate document, a secure software test plan. And usually this is where the overhead is very important because to to test your software and especially to demonstrate that your software is free from security holes, security vulnerabilities, okay, you need a very thorough software testing strategy, secure software testing strategy, which contains various testing methods, okay, so that you can be confident at the end of the testing campaign that your software is free from vulnerabilities when the software is released. And especially, you need, for example, a pen test with independent consultants. Okay. Don't
I
go
cannot
to
do it
the
myself.
FDA.
I cannot do it with my team. I have
No,
really to get somebody
no.
else.
You have to do it with someone who is independent. Okay, so independent is the word used in the guides. Okay, usually how we do it clearly, but going to an independent consultant. Okay, okay, so someone who doesn't have any relationship with the design and the testing team. So doing this penetration test, pen test, okay, is I would say mandatory. Don't go to the FDA if you don't have that, for example. Okay, this is the bare minimum. But above that, you have also some other testing strategies. So I'm not going to dive too much into details because this is very technical.
Yeah.
But just remember that testing strategy is going to add lots of overhead to your current testing strategy. Okay, so in fact, yes, cybersecurity in general is going to add an additional layer. Okay, so some overhead above your current design control for software. Okay, so this is for pre-market.
Yeah.
And then for post-market, you are going to monitor the security issues that which can come from the field, in fact. Okay,
So, so this is also something that is interesting because yeah, people are a lot of thinking a lot of the pre-market and try to have the products on the market and do everything, etc. And then when we go post-market, they have still to continue to do monitoring. I mean, we all maybe saw those movies where there is a cyber attack that happens, so you have to be on your computer to block it or to do whatever thing. So, are we talking about that, like being always in front of your computer and doing this check?
yes, so the series that you find are a bit. I would say this is, of course, not how it happens in real life. Okay, if you see Mr. Robot, for example, or series
Exactly.
like
I
that,
talk about that plenty.
life is not like that, you know.
Okay.
But in fact, yes, we have still to monitor cybersecurity in post-market, and yes, it's a bit like classical bugs, I would say. Okay, despite your best effort to wipe out any bug from your software, some additional bugs will be discovered on the software when it is in the hands of end users. Okay, so in fact, a cybersecurity issue is a kind of bug, in fact. So despite your best effort to remove any kind of issues cyber issue in design, some issue could remain when the software is placed on the market, and then you have to monitor that, okay? The same way as you do it for classical bugs, in fact. So the processes that you have in place are still applicable. Okay, this is not the how which is going to change. This is more the what. Okay,
Okay.
what kind of information you manage. The how, you already have it. You already have your post-market surveillance plan. You already have uh, uh, customer claim procedure. All of this is going to take into account any kind of issue, okay? And within these issues, you will have the cybersecurity issues uh, into this customer feedback, into these customer claims. The how is not going to change, okay? This is just the what, which is going to add a new information that is going, like any kind of bug, going to be brought back to the software development team to release a new version, a patch, okay, and then to deliver the patch to the field, okay. So here we are within something classical we already know, okay. So just the what changes, the how we already have it, okay.
Exactly,
First
and
thing.
post-market is also something that is not only due to the software itself. It can also be due to the environment, change of the environment. If the change of Windows, for example, or change of whatever, so then this has to go back maybe to again the dev people to again check if there is a conflict or something per what you have already made before, which has also to be considered, I think, on your post-marketing surveillance plan also.
Yes, so you have to monitor the issues of your product, but as you said, you also have to monitor the issues on the technical environment on your product, like your operating system, the third-party software that you use, the other medical devices with which you communicate. Okay, so you have to monitor all of this. Okay, and it looks like something a bit difficult to do, but thanks to, I would say, the cybersecurity community, today you have some ways, some tools to automate that. Okay,
Okay.
so with the IEC 6234, we have to monitor bugs on third-party software, what we call SOUP, okay,
Yeah.
SOUP, software non-provenance. So, and this is difficult to do because you have to check the bug lists from the third-party manufacturers. This is complex, okay. In cybersecurity, since this is a very high concern, very big concern from anybody in cybersecurity to have the information as quick as possible, they introduced tools to automate this. Okay, so just for people who know web development, for example, you have NPM
Yeah.
for the web development, and above that you have a new software called Sneak, which allows you to have in real time the new information about vulnerabilities on JavaScript development, for example. So we have once again the 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 process as a whole doesn't change, okay, but the tools and the nature of the information that we are going to manage is a bit new, okay, compared to what we have in I would say for classical bugs, in
Yeah.
fact.
Agree. Um, Now let's talk about your return of experience mainly with the authorities, FDA and EU. So let's start with FDA. So you, as you said before, you had some experience with FDA with a lot of cybersecurity non-conformities, etc. So what is your thinking of their way to address those kind of issue? Are they really looking at regulation and it's black and white, or are they really more technical and really answering question of developers also, or what is at which level are they on their scrutiny of this?
Yes, so perhaps I can take 2 points of views. Okay,
Okay.
so for the FDA reviewers, okay, cybersecurity is a concern,
Okay.
okay, and for manufacturers, cybersecurity is a pain point, I
Yeah.
would say. Okay, because in fact, the FDA reviewers, okay, so as of today, so we know we have changes within the FDA these days, okay, but what we've seen is that the FDAs the FDA, they have very knowledgeable guys about cybersecurity. Okay, so they are going to ask you very technical questions.
Okay.
Okay, requiring you to address in a technical way their questions. Okay, you will need someone knowledgeable to answer their questions. Okay, for example, I've seen a question from FDA reviewer about a USB stick. Okay, you have a USB stick, but what can happen with the USB stick? Can a malware be introduced with a USB stick? Did you protect the USB stick? How is protected the operating system? Do you have what we call no exec settings on the USB. Very technical questions, in fact. Okay, so be prepared. Be prepared when you receive answers from the FDA, questions from the FDA, to answer to these questions in a technical way. Okay, you cannot do smoke. Okay, to the FDA.
Yeah.
You have to be precise and technical in your answers. Okay, but I would say this is the wrong way to do it. I think that uh, before submitting the file to the FDA, okay, you have to in fact take into account the FDA's expectations and document uh, in a very thorough manner the way your software is secured, okay, taking into account all the topics we already talked about, like secure software development, secure post-market management, pen testing, so all of this, okay, all the activities that you have to do about cybersecurity throughout the software lifecycle should be present into your FDA submission, in fact. Okay.
Okay. Um, so, in terms of FDA, I also they are making a lot of notification also about issues, and they have also some cyber alert that they are providing also. So, is it something that can? I mean, have you had the experience with that also?
Yes, so we had a few years ago alerts about cybersecurity deficiencies into medical devices. So we had the case of perfusion pumps, for example, where you could go into the perfusion pump very easily without any password and things like that, and change the parameters, the settings of the perfusion pump, so something with a safety concern
Yeah.
afterwards. Okay, so and that was something we've seen a few years ago. We also they also published uh, uh, it's not a warning letter because warning letters are addressed to
Manufacturer.
manufacturers, but it was more a notification to anybody. Be careful because you have it was a component used to communicate to allow medical device to communicate with other devices on the internet, what we call a IP stack. Okay, that component, in fact, was vulnerable. Okay, so the FDA published a notification. You, manufacturer, should update the version of this IP stack to the latest version because you will have problem. Otherwise, you will have problem with about cybersecurity. So this is this kind of information that the FDA publishes. Um, and it was a few years ago. Today, I think more the FDA is more on a more, we have more general information from the FDA. I think that their main message today is apply our guidances about cybersecurity. Okay, that will be the way to address cybersecurity in a correct manner. Please, manufacturers, apply our guidance about cybersecurity.
Okay.
And you have by the way, you have a page about cybersecurity. We can place it in the
Yeah,
description.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, a
Send me
page
all the
about
links and I will place
cybersecurity.
them.
Yes,
Yeah, send me all
yes.
the links. Now, if we go to notified body, here we have, I don't know, yeah, maybe we can talk about that, but I think there is a disadvantage in for notified bodies because I think the FDA had a lot of time to, if I can say, experience cybersecurity and work on it. And now, notified body, the majority of software were class one, so they were not having access to them. Maybe they had access to hardware that contains software, then they have maybe some discussion about it. But the experience is lower than what they have in the FDA. Have you seen also the same thing, or I'm completely wrong?
No, no, you're not completely wrong at all. In fact, so you have the difference of approach from one notified body to another.
Okay,
So, for example, we know that by experience, the German notified bodies are the most advanced on the subject, thanks to their checklist, okay, the German checklist. And you have to address cybersecurity when you submit technical files to the notified bodies. So, by the way, we had clients coming back to us because the German notified bodies require the manufacturer to apply the two checklists. Okay,
okay,
something which was not absolutely not addressed in their technical file when they came to us, and they got a non-conformity from the notified body on that subject. So this is the case for German notified bodies. For other notified bodies from other countries, their expectation is lower as of today, and it is supposed to be harmonized with other notified bodies. So we are sure of that because when the standards are published in 2028, the list of harmonized is published in 2028. We will have standards about cybersecurity, so we know that all notified bodies will look at this list of harmonized standards. But as of today, we are still in a transition phase, in fact,
yeah.
okay, where from one notified body to another, we don't have the same scrutiny, okay, about the same level of scrutiny about cybersecurity when they review technical files.
So, in terms of notified body, then the fact also, yeah, that they are independent companies, that they are working on their way, that they are heterogeneous. I suppose that some manufacturers would prefer not to go to German companies than to go to other. I suppose. Do you think the same or?
Uh, it depends on so many factors. Okay, so the availabilities of auditors, the geographic proximity, language as well. Okay, so there are so many factors that I don't think that cybersecurity alone
Okay,
can be a game changer for a manufacturer when they choose a notified body. In
okay,
fact,
great. So, let's wrap up. So,
yes.
what would you then advise out of all what we discussed here? Maybe let's pick some points that are really important here, and yeah, let me know what would you be your advice to the audience here.
Okay, if you go to the US, okay, and if you want to go to the US first, okay, something quite common today in the manufacturer strategy, I would say take cybersecurity seriously. Okay, take the FDA guidances. Okay, the one about pre-market, the one about post-market. Follow these two guidances and take them into account seriously when you build your 510(k) file, your de novo file, your submission file, in fact. Okay. Take it seriously, otherwise you will have lots of deficiencies, lots of questions from the FDA about cybersecurity.
Okay.
Okay. If you want to go to the EU for CE mark, okay, so if you already wrote your documentation for the FDA, it will be in fact easy for you to go to the EU, because everything you've written for the FDA will be enough for the EU regulation and the notified bodies, okay, in general. Then, of course, if you want to start with EU, if you don't have the US in your scope, make a plan, in fact. Make a plan, because the IEC 8101-5-1 about cybersecurity will be harmonized by 2028. Okay, so make a plan to be compliant, to have your documentation and demonstrate conformity to that standard by 2028. Okay, so you can start slowly today with, for example, a cyber risk assessment, and then continuing by implementing all cybersecurity provision throughout your cyber life cycle. Okay. Your medical device life cycle. Okay, so just make a plan. Answer to your notified body's expectation about cybersecurity, knowing that at one day, okay, by 2028, you will have to be compliant to the cybersecurity standards.
Great.
Okay.
So I hope, this will be helping people to know how to navigate through all this, because it's a difficult topic also. So as we said, we try to not be too much technical, but there are a lot of techniques behind all this. So Cyrille, how can you help the audience here? Because you are really knowledgeable on all these topics. So why the audience should contact you?
So you can contact us at MD101 because we can help you in your technical files or your 510(k) submissions about cybersecurity. Okay, like for example, applying the 8101-5-1 standard or the FDA guidances. We can definitely help you with that. And also you can start with a training with us, okay? So a training that I provide about cybersecurity, about the FDA guidances and all the cyber standards and processes that you have to follow into your medical device lifecycle. So in fact, I think yes, a good way to start with us is to start with the cybersecurity training. Okay, so you can contact us for this training if you want to have more information. And I think we are also going to place that into the description, into the links in the description of the podcast.
So when is this training?
This is on demand. In fact,
Okay.
You can ask us for the training, what we call in-house training for your company.
Okay, great. So we'll place anyway all the links so that people can check that on the show notes. I'm checking now if everything is there. Normally, yes. People, I suppose, can also contact you on LinkedIn or for if they have any questions.
Of course, yes.
Great. Okay, so thanks, Cyrille. It was really nice. Thanks you for all the topics. Even myself, I will check that because I think there are a lot of things that are really interesting here that have to investigate, specifically those standards, because I think we have here are some tools that can help the manufacturers. So please don't hesitate also to check those standards and to understand. And if you have some questions, so you can go back to Cyrille and ask questions. Okay, Cyrille, so I suppose also we can have maybe then another podcast, maybe on the organization this time, on the organization instead of products. So we'll think about that and we'll maybe come back with another topic. So thank you, Cyrille, and I wish you a nice day.
Thank you too, Munir. Bye-bye.